This is where Hulu Plus started.
It all started right here.
It was in beta testing.
Hulu
right?
Plus, Netflix,
Try it out in Milwaukee first.
Vimeo. Yeah, that's right. It's like the Iowa of new tech.
The Facebook.
The social network?
Well, it seems like he maybe is not that bad of a guy, but it does look bad.
Oh. So you think he's a good guy?
Oh, totally. I think he's a great man.
Justin's out here caping for politicians.
Former.
How dare you, sir?
We'll come back around to that. I don't want to do that at the beginning. That'll be since we are recording now, that'll be a teaser for a later article. Who do I think is good? It may surprise you.
Yeah.
Well, you may also be surprised that this podcast exists at all. It turns out some people believed me when I said 200 would be our last. So
don't believe anything you hear.
I apologize to anyone who I misled. I mean, to be fair, if you had listened to the 200th episode, it probably would have been made clear to you that it wasn't actually the end of the podcast. I mean, I feel like we were pretty transparent about that, no?
Yeah. No, I kind of threw that in at the end about how we actually did 400, so, like, we can't quit now.
Right.
There's
Well,
no
now,
reason.
We have to get to 500 total, right?
There's no reason to quit the podcast unless we had some kind of, like, terrible personal situation or some kind of terrible falling out with our friendship. Like, I don't fuck with Justin anymore. So, like, yeah. Or, yeah. I mean, honestly, you could probably do a solo podcast. You could probably continue doing it.
You've said this before, and that is just the worst idea.
I mean, I definitely couldn't, but, like, I think you could.
I think that would...
I would listen to it.
I would not enjoy doing it. I'll tell you that.
I would listen. I think other people would.
They shouldn't. If that's something that anyone out there thinks would be good, it would not. All right, no way. All right, we're back with our 201st episode, Rock Hard Caucus 201. We got a few things to update our friends and listeners on. The first thing I have on the agenda is a little bit more about Joni Ernst, who most recently has made herself very famous.
Well, we all are going to die.
By telling us the truth, that we're all going to die. A harsh truth. And the libs can't handle it. We all thought that we were immortal, but Joni Ernst has set us straight, and we're lashing out. We can't handle the truth.
I wonder if, like, Brian Johnson, you know, that guy, like the billionaire guy who's, like, trying to live forever. Yeah. I wonder if he, like, called her and was like, how dare you? I am not going to die. I will never die.
Of us. Not all of us. I actually, now that we're talking about that again, I saw, I think, like, KCRG posted about it or something, and somebody in the comments was like, well, everyone except for one person has died. It was something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure referring to Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay.
But the thing about that is he very publicly died.
Yeah, but then he came back.
Sure, but that doesn't mean he didn't die.
Oh, that's true. You're right. That's one death, one resurrection.
Right. And I mean, Christ's death is like a foundational pillar of the religion. So to say that he never died is kind of like
it's kind of
blaspheming, you know?
Kind of one of the most important things in the whole religion.
How are you going to scold people by saying he died for your sins if you're claiming he didn't die? That's like a very important part of your thing, right? Anyway, about Joni Ernst.
Well, there's also like 8 billion people on the planet who have not died yet.
That's true. There's a lot more than one that have not died yet. Anyway, my friend Dom, Sweat FM, tagged me in the replies to this tweet by Seth Harp, who has a book about Fort Bragg coming out later this year. Fort Bragg being the army base where a bunch of people have been murdered mysteriously, and there seems to be a lot of like drug trafficking going through there. So a very interesting place. I'm sure it's going to be a really spectacular book. But Seth tweeted, this is Seth Harp, A bizarre fact I learned while writing my book is that this lady, he's talking about Joni Ernst, was known for hooking up with wounded SF soldiers at Walter Reed. Wait, what's SF? Wounded SF soldiers at Walter Reed.
Special Forces?
Oh, yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
probably Special Forces, right? I have a woman on tape on the record describing how Senator Joni Ernst ruined her marriage by fucking her husband after he lost his leg in combat. So
That's interesting.
More sex scandals potentially.
Do you think the
involving
injury-
our junior senator?
You think the injury is what does it?
Is that why is she attracted to them because of their? I mean that's a thing. I've seen people on the internet who are very into amputation.
Oh, I mean, I guess that doesn't surprise me. I shouldn't be surprised with that. I don't know. I'm thinking of the movie Crash that I recently saw, and then also it was at Film Scene. I think I don't know if it's played yet, but about it's a David Cronenberg movie about people getting into car accidents and getting horny for it, and also getting horny for the the injuries.
I've never seen it, so I don't know that much about that movie, but I'm aware.
It's a very weird movie. Very weird movie. But anyway, yeah. I wonder if there's something to that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Well, we talked about the sexts that she was sending. Allegedly, I think that she was never conclusively identified as part of that sexting scandal, but I think she's just like really horny. Like that's what it seems like. There's always stuff coming out about her having sex, and like, good for her, but you shouldn't probably be like stealing people's wounded husbands. That's not very nice behavior. And then he followed that up with, I didn't include the claim in my book or try to verify it because it wasn't relevant to drug trafficking at Fort Bragg, but my source showed me sympathetic text messages she had with Gail Ernst, the senator's former husband, who in fact divorced her for infidelity in 2018.
Dang.
And Gail Ernst also was allegedly abusive toward his ex-wife, Joni, so I wouldn't really like sympathize too hard with that guy either.
Yeah, I mean, politicians should have to take a vow of abstinency, like,
sure,
just like a priest.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's not good. It's never good.
Well, I mean, that the priests have their own sexual issues.
That's true. Yeah, I think. How about you get kicked out if there's any evidence of you having sex outside of your marriage? I mean, never mind. That's pretty conservative. Maybe there are people too who have different ways of expressing their sexuality, and maybe we shouldn't like judge them for it. But
now who's siding with politicians? You're calling them human beings.
I know, man. I know. I don't know. There's many different ways you could look at it, I guess.
Yeah, it is conservative to say that like you can only have sex in a committed monogamous relationship, but drastic measures have to be taken. I think these people, like, they get away with so much, and they need to have their freedom restricted a little bit. Like, if you're going to go into public office, we need to have some reins on you. You shouldn't be having fun ever, really.
No.
This is a serious job.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars pay your salary. So
yeah, you shouldn't be able to trade stocks. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't get to choose your own living space. You should have like a single room that the government lodges you in during the, congressional sessions.
And after you leave office, you should be put into cryostasis, and so you can't use your connections in government to make money for yourself. Yeah,
lobbyists cannot buy you like a fancy dinner. You have to eat at the Congress cafeteria where they just serve bread and with a little bit of butter on it.
Bread with a little bit of butter on it.
Yeah,
that's what they're eating. Hardtack.
You get water to drink, and on Fridays it's bubbly water. No pizza. Pizza once a year.
Pizza, but it's like, and it's like the actual like little rectangular school cafeteria pizza.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still have that.
Rectangles of pizza.
Worst pizza I've ever had.
All right, that's So Joni Ernst possibly stealing wounded husbands, legless, amputated husbands.
We love a man in a vulnerable position. We love it.
Yeah, maybe she's just a dom.
Yeah.
And which goes back to the beginning. My friend Dom sent me this tweet, so that probably has something to do with it.
Wow.
All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't recall if this has ever come up on the podcast, but there's a guy from Iowa, Ryan O'Leary, who was leading a mercenary group in Ukraine. I think that he initially popped up on my radar because he ran, in quotes, he ran for U.S. House in the 4th District in 2022. If you look up his Ballotpedia page, there's no picture of him. It says he ran as an independent, but he did not appear on the ballot for the general election in 2022. I think him tweeting about that is the first time I ever heard of him. Ryan O'Leary. And there was a recent news piece about him in the Des Moines Register by Lee Rude, who we have heard, if you see her coming, you should kill yourself immediately. If she's walking up to your front door, you're about to get destroyed by journalism.
Destroyed by words. Pen is mightier.
So she wrote this piece. Iowa commander in Ukraine says he's shutting down his company of international soldiers.
That's a more charitable way to say mercenary group.
International soldiers. Yeah. So,
war tourists.
Yeah. Guys who flew in to this small European nation to start killing people for fun. They love killing. I think that's kind of the main thing I took away from this is this guy loves to kill people. Ryan O'Leary. A former Carroll man, Carroll, Iowa, the town he's from, who for more than 3 years has fought in Ukraine's war with Russia, leading an international company of soldiers, has announced on social media that the controversial unit is pulling out. Now, why might they be controversial, do you think? A group of men flying in from all over the world into this small nation in order to fight a conflict with a huge nation. Anything come to mind that might be controversial about those guys' activities?
Well, there's this thing called the Azov Brigade, and there's been some reports that, I mean, they're kind of known, they're kind of Nazis. They're kind of hella Nazis, and then there's been a lot of Nazis from all over the world who want to help the Nazis in Ukraine.
We've gotten yelled at for this in the past. I can remember a YouTube comment getting very mad at me for saying that America was sending money to neo-Nazis in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's simply a fact.
When this military conflict began. And look, that's not me saying, I love Russia. I love 21st century Russia. I love Vladimir Putin. That's just me saying, hey, there's some Nazis in Ukraine here.
Yeah.
All right? There's some white supremacy among the ranks. All right?
Mm-hmm. That actually were folded into the legitimate Ukrainian military. Like they were like a militia, like paramilitary thing, and then got folded into the actual military. Yeah. And
this is, look, I'm not super knowledgeable about this conflict in general. I don't spend a lot of time paying attention to this. I just
don't
think this
support
guy
any
is
sides in
interesting.
a shitty proxy war. It's bad all around.
Yeah, it's tainted by Western.
You should only want it to end.
Basically. So this is Ryan O'Leary. Chosen Company is shutting down operations and moving towards separation from the Ukrainian military. Chosen Company is the name of his little group of soldiers. Official statement will be released once I'm out of contract and can fully speak freely without violating Ukrainian military laws and statutes. It's been a good 39-month run.
So that means that he would have been in Ukraine at the time he tried to run for office in Iowa?
Yeah, I don't quite understand. I don't remember exactly what was going on there, but yeah, maybe he was back. He was here on leave. You know, if you're running the company, you can probably go on leave whenever you want, right?
Yeah, right.
I think he's settled in Ukraine. Like he's going to continue living there now, is what I've been seeing on his Twitter. A little bit about his background here. O'Leary, an outspoken former Iowa National Guard sergeant who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, dropped out of the U.S. military in 2015 and returning on his own to, Iraq or Afghanistan as a volunteer to help train the Kurdish army in northern Iraq to battle the terrorist group known as ISIS. So he was in the military, left the military, but went back on his own to train Kurdish forces to fight ISIS. The FBI and the State Department told the Des Moines Register then that what he was doing was legal, but they urged him to consider the danger. In February 2022, he went to fight alongside Ukraine after that country's President Volodymyr Zelensky invited foreign military veterans to help in the war started by Russia. Not long after, O'Leary became commander of Chosen Company, a group of soldiers, many from the United States, who volunteered to join in Ukraine's cause. Yeah, I'm not going over there, all right? So props to the guys who, did the right thing and flew from all over the world into Ukraine in order to fight for the cause.
I mean, it does make me feel a little better that he's going to stay there. I mean, he's committed to the cause. I can't really call him, I mean, at that point, you're not a war tourist. You are in it. You're just a war guy.
He's in it for the love of war, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Now, this is where it gets, to me, kind of interesting. Like, why is he disbanding Chosen Company? He could not be reached by the Des Moines Register for comment, but they quote some of his tweets here. He is completely leaving Ukrainian military service, as are most of his subordinates. He complained that the patchwork of laws, statutes, and guidances hasn't been fixed for foreign citizens serving as Ukrainian service members. Tens of thousands of foreigners have answered the call to defend Ukraine, and yet they continue to have less legal standing in most areas than a foreigner in Ukraine on an educational visa or residency. The same patchwork has removed the meritocracy of the military for foreigners as well, and has effectively created a caste system in both civilian and military life for those serving in the military. So he's like throwing a fit and getting mad and disbanding his unit because he's not. I'm like, you're
not a Ukrainian citizen. Like, I would kind of expect to be treated a little bit differently, if I were going to a foreign company or country to form a mercenary unit and fight on behalf of a foreign government. Like,
he's mad that he's not being given like full Ukrainian privileges. Well, why aren't they like revising their laws while they're currently fighting like an endless bloody battle? Like, I should be getting like benefits from flying in here to do war for you. If I'm not going to get anything out of this, I'm done. So that's all that stuff we said about him being dedicated to the cause. Well, it's painted a little differently by his comments after he announced he's disbanding his unit. I'm a little worried that he's going to come back here and try to kill me, by the way, for talking about this. He seems like he'll get mad if he hears about this.
He can kill you. That's fine.
All right.
For me.
But then you have to do the podcast without me.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that'll go real well. Anyway, no, protect Justin. Fucking, I don't think, I did do some Googling to see if they do have any affiliation with Azov or anything.
Sure, yeah.
And I couldn't really find too much, but apparently fighters from Chosen Company formed a different group called Tempest Group that switched to use an Azov-style chevron as their logo.
Okay, so Chosen Company, some of them left and formed Tempest?
Tempest Group.
Tempest Group sounds a little more sinister than Chosen Company.
It does, yeah.
This article also talks about how members of Chosen Company, there are allegations of war crimes at the very least. It's a little murky. Like, the evidence maybe isn't there fully for some of this stuff, but like, throwing grenades at a guy whose hands are up, like surrendering, shooting prisoners and shit, like, stuff that happens in war, stuff that people who very gleefully fly to foreign nations to fight in wars, might be inclined to do given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And they were like bragging about it too. Like, they killed prisoners of war, and then there's like text messages.
There's like a group chat,
a group chat where I'm probably posting pictures and shit. I don't know. War is bad. It's fucking bad.
Yeah.
Go play
Chosen
Stalker 2.
accused of boasting in a group chat about killing Russian prisoners during a mission in October. The article said the killings of prisoners of war, a violation of the Geneva Conventions. This is an article in the New York Times. So killing prisoners of war had divided the unit. So some guys were like, well, this is fun. I like to kill prisoners of war. Other guys were like, hey, I think this is a violation of international law. Maybe we shouldn't be killing prisoners of war. And it was a big fight between the guys. And so you can't be surprised when they disband, when they can't agree on something like that, you know?
Yeah. Less skin in the game, you know? Except for, again, this guy is staying there, so, like, he's...
Apparently, yeah.
I'll give him a pass on that.
He is. Okay, speaking of skin, I pulled up a few of his recent tweets just to get a better picture of, like, who this guy is, Ryan O'Leary, former commander of Chosen Company. All right, he posted on May 28th. This is right after the announcement that Chosen Company is disbanding. He said, logging back in and seeing the pro-Russia crowd going full... And then he says the R word. Let's get a few things straight since they seem confused. 1. Ukraine is my home. My wife is Ukrainian. I have a house here and I'm working on my citizenship. I'm not leaving Ukraine. So I think he met a woman there. He flew in to do war, but he found love. And that's why he's staying in Ukraine.
Story as old as time.
So that's honorable, probably. Number 2. Not going to quit killing Russians. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say.
I mean, what is that? That's like, yeah, like shooting someone with a gun. That's like, I'd say that's not, you know, comparable to, I mean, that's like the same thing as skinning a cat. Like, I assume skinning a cat. Oh, well, a cat's already dead at the point you skin it. Anyway, I don't think it's a very good metaphor.
Well, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like he's going to be up to, like, pleasant activities. That's not what that sounds like to me. But, okay, so you're disbanding your, like, kind of weird military unit, but you vow to continue killing Russians. So what, you're just going to be like a serial killer, like an independent sniper or something? I don't know. And then his third point is cope harder, bitches. Cool
Interesting.
Guy. He's a cool badass. A couple more here. This is from May 31st, a few days later. Remember, he has a Ukrainian wife. Apparently telling your wife, who just reminded you that her birthday is coming up and was hinting about it, that you only celebrate the birthday of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is an extremely bad idea. Take notes if you're married, gentlemen. LOL.
Wow.
Do you see this follow-up here? The next tweet in this thread is a really interesting addition. LOL, also probably not the thing to say when it's the first day seeing her since we got married, and I didn't do a honeymoon because of military service. LOL, 0 to 2 so far. The sort of tilted, crying, laughing emoji.
Yeah, the ruffle. Really funny. I mean, I wonder what his wife thinks.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if she can read English, so maybe she can't see these tweets. She can't read what he's saying. But yeah, you get married and then you immediately go off on your killing murder adventure. I mean, it's not murder if it's war, probably. But I'm splitting hairs a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, and this is my favorite of all. This was a couple days ago, June 6th. He posted, the greatest generation's greatest misstep was not slaughtering the Soviets and commies in every city across the world post-Hitler and Japan in World War II.
Okay, so I mean, wow. It's shocking that his company was accused of war crimes when he's posting stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
Also kind of shows the motivation of guys who go to fight in wars such as these. Like,
yeah, I wonder if
you're
he was
all
really
about
into
the
the
anti-communism.
movie Red Dawn growing up.
Yeah.
That kind of guy.
Also, it's like, who are you talking about? Like, are there communists fighting in this, like, war between two very capitalist states? Like, I don't really know what you're talking about, man. Yeah,
I think he thinks there should have been just a full genocide of all Russians following World War II. Who, if you remember your history well at all, Russia was part of the Allies at the end of World War II. So it would have been a kind of a crazy thing to do. I think, to just slaughter all of your allies at the end of the war.
More of them got slaughtered than anyone.
That's true. Yeah, they already suffered a lot of casualties.
Yeah.
But you also got to think about, the state of things at the end of World War II. Like, if you're going to prioritize, well, we got to keep killing people, who's at the top of your list? I would say the surviving Nazis are probably like, those are the ones who I'd be fine just executing summarily, right?
Yeah. The Soviets were famously in favor of that and kind of had to talk the other allies into being fully on board with that.
Yeah. Rather than like importing a bunch of Nazi scientists into our space program, stuff like that. I think that that's maybe more of a misstep than not destroying all of Russia at the end of World War II. This guy's crazy. I don't like him. I'm going to come out and say I don't think this guy is a good guy.
Man, increasing your chances of getting killed by him.
Yeah, I hope he stays in Ukraine. Doesn't come back here to, kill the real enemy, podcasters. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more close to home. This is also an update on a story we've revisited many times: the Davenport building collapse of summer of 2023. It's been just over 2 years since that happened. That was like early June 2023. And the most recent development is there was kind of a battle between the public and, city, county officials over the release of the full DCI investigation, Department of Criminal Investigations. Pretty sure that's what DCI stands for.
Yeah, I think you got it.
But yeah, there was a full investigation that the county attorney was trying to prevent from being released as a FOIA thing. And that battle is now over. The DCI report has been released to the public. It's not exactly available just to anyone right now. There's like some individuals who have it and have shared it with media, but it's not like posted anywhere publicly. I guess I say all that just to say I tried to get it and I don't have it.
You were told that it's 2 gigabytes in size and therefore it's impossible to distribute.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on the guy's ass about it, but like,
I mean, we have, there's hosting costs involved, even though you can get free hosting pretty much anywhere, especially for 2 gigabytes. But anyway,
2 gigabytes, whatever. I want to read this for myself, but for now, we're relying on reporting by more legitimate media sources. I have an IPR thing, and I have a Zachary Oren Smith article that I read to look into this. And a lot of it is stuff that we've kind of already discovered, that like there were inspections that didn't look good, but city officials were kind of just looking the other way, hiding it under the rug or whatever. Having
them hire contractors, like masonry contractors, and not verifying that they were like licensed masonry contractors. Like,
right. There was stuff that it seemed like it was the case, given the information that we had before. That's just been further confirmed by details from the report here. Okay, IPR James Kelly wrote this. Long-awaited state investigation into deadly Davenport apartment building collapse made public is the name of the article. I'm just going to read a couple things from it here. What you were just referring to, the contractors not being licensed or, unclear if they were licensed. This section here. In an interview with the city's Development and Neighborhood Services Director, Rich Oswald, that's a name that comes up many times throughout these articles, Rich Oswald. DCI investigators learned city officials did not know whether the masons working on the west wall were licensed. Oswald said that he, along with City Inspector Trishna Pradhan, who this is the person who was fired because the inspection report went from approved to some other status shortly after the building collapsed, and this person got the finger pointed at them for that shady business. All right, so Oswald, Trishna Pradhan, the city inspector, and Andrew Wold, who was the owner of the property, they gathered at the apartment to discuss repairs to the building prior to the collapse. Pradhan told Wold his masons had to be licensed, and Wold said the masons he had contracted were licensed, I think, and worked for Fusel Masonry. Pradhan left for vacation May 25th after issuing Wold a permit for repairs. That I feel is a detail that matters. That the city inspector gave out a permit and then left for vacation. The building collapses during the vacation. Mm-hmm. I think the fact that this person was out of town while it happened kind of explains a little bit of the like quick and shoddy work before and after.
Oh, yeah. And then comes back from vacation and goes back to the report and changes it or the inspection report and changes it from passed to incomplete.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
We collectively, okay, let me not move on from that yet. Imagine that you go on vacation. While you're gone, something catastrophic happens at your job. Your vacation's ruined.
Yeah.
Then you have to come back, try to like pick up the pieces, and it's not your fault. You were on vacation, right? So you're like, I can just sort of like change this to this. It'll look like things. I did the right thing, and then you get fired afterwards. I mean, worst vacation ever. That's real bad luck. We collectively had no idea who the individuals were performing the masonry work on the building leading up to its collapse, or whether whoever was performing the work was a licensed mason, Oswald said, according to a summary of his interview with DCI investigators. Again, if you have been in this area, where this building stood was like across the corner from like the main city hall. Mm-hmm. So you don't know who these people are, but you could just sort of look out your window at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest of this section is kind of stuff that's already been covered. Just a random person happened to see how shitty the wall looked and started reporting it to authorities, and then a day later, shit fell apart. All right, this part is awesome. This is what I really, really wanted to talk about. And I have a screenshot of part of the DCI investigation here, and I think that would be maybe the better part to read rather than the article summary of it. Okay, so Andrew Wold, the owner of the building, he fled. He fled the city and was staying at his mom's house in Lamar's, Iowa.
Can we back up a little bit? Because he was trying to buy. Okay, so he went to this like repair shop to buy some steel S-beams for like bracing the wall or repairs on the wall. And apparently he was at the store, looked at his phone, covered his mouth, and then said, "I'm not going to need them. Thanks, guys. It just went down." Which is fucking crazy. There should be a movie about this. Like, and then, this next detail also with, when the investigators got to him.
This is a movie scene. Yeah. Yeah. God. Him being at a store trying to buy like parts while the building falls down is.
Yeah.
God. So I got this screenshot from Ezra Sidron. I got it. He posted it on Facebook. This is like a FOIA warrior in Davenport, always battling with the city. All right. So they went to his mom's place in Lamar's to track him down. And if you don't know, that's like complete opposite ends of the state.
Yep.
Davenport's over here on the east side. Lamar's is way over here on the west side. Okay, so the investigators arrive at Andrew Wold's mother's house. And her name is redacted in the document here. So at first, she told investigators that he wasn't home. She was lying to cover, try to help him, I guess. All right. Then it says she returned outside and advised that Wold was actually in the house and stated that he must have returned home while she was out back. She stated that Wold was going to come out because his kids were inside. Wold did come out and meet us in the driveway. He stated that if I gave him my card, his attorney would reach out to me. I displayed my badge to Wold and introduced myself as being with the DCI. I advised that DCI was part of the state police. I then advised Wold, who was holding a phone in his hand, that I had a warrant for his phones. I pointed out that he had one phone in his hand and asked if he had any more inside. Wold then ran from me, going back through the open garage door, through the garage stalls, and into the house from the garage. I followed Wold through the garage, but he entered the house and locked the door behind him before I could secure him and the phone.
Flawless.
This is like a Coen Brothers kind of scenario.
Yeah.
It's very Fargo.
They have a warrant, man. Like, God
Yeah,
damn.
I think it's over for you. They found you.
Yeah. They're gonna break down your door, and then you're gonna have to pay for your mom to repair the door. Like,
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. His mom then opened the door. She knew that might happen.
yeah,
Well, and she knows that her son, if he's going to be the one to pay for the door, it's going to be fucking cardboard.
it's gonna be yeah, man.
This is not a man who is careful when he repairs buildings, so she can't rely on him.
Yeah.
All right, she opened the door, and Sergeant Caskey and I entered as far as the threshold. Wold was standing in view and was stating that we were there to steal his phone. I advised Wold that I had a court order to take his phone. Which,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a definitional thing, like stealing. I mean, court order warrant, like
yeah, I
splitting
mean,
hairs
sometimes cops are allowed to legally steal your possessions, basically, is what that means. Wold contacted his attorney, Jackson O'Brien, by phone and put him on speakerphone. I advised that we had a search warrant to seize the phone and confirmed that we did not yet have a warrant to examine the phone. That's kind of strange. Like, you have a warrant to take it, but not to, like, look at its contents.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, so are we to believe that you're not going to look at anything on the phone until you receive that warrant? Mr. O'Brien advised Wold to provide us the phone. I mean, that's legal counsel for you.
Yeah. Another good scene for a movie. Really good. Like, he put the lawyer on speakerphone. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you he's like, Andrew, please, you have to comply.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot worse for you if you don't give him the phone. Oh my God. Wold handed the phone to me and stated that there was no passcode, which I confirmed. Dude, what are you doing? You don't even have a password on the phone that you're handing to the cops. Like, this is a guy who in the moment runs from the cops, but he doesn't have a password on his fucking phone.
I missed that detail. That's pretty amazing. I didn't know anyone did that. Like,
that's dangerous, man.
You know how much personally, like, identifying information is on there? Like, people could do a lot with that.
Not even just cops, but if you just happen to drop your phone somewhere, like,
yeah,
I'm picking up that phone. I'm looking for Venmo right away.
Yeah. Because you're a common criminal.
That's right.
Unlike Andrew Wold, who is not a criminal, by the way. Is not charged with anything.
No, he's here. I got a few things from Zachary Oren Smith's article at the IO starting line, which is called "Davenport Building Collapse Investigation Reveals Years of Ignored Warnings and Regulatory Breakdown." This is a great piece from Zach. He really gets into the same details as the IPR article, but Zach's allowed to put a little bit of his voice into his work.
Yeah, editorializing. Yeah.
Yeah. I took a few bits out of this. In early 2020, a city inspector found violations so severe that the city's former director of the department that manages building inspections, Rich Oswald, there's that name again, said, "I'm not afraid of closing the building down." Again, this was in early 2020, so like 3.5 years before the building fell down. Rich Oswald was saying the building should be closed down.
In all caps.
But city inspectors never closed it. Instead, they kept watching as things got worse. 18 residents complained that their heat didn't work in the winter of 2020. Trash piled up in stairwells. Water leaked through ceilings and down walls. The building would be cited 19 times, racking up $4,500 in fines. Oswald has since resigned. 19 fines against a property owner of a building that large. I feel like $4,500 is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For 19 violations of a building that size that ended up, collapsing catastrophically. $4,500. I think he could have taken care of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also saw one of the property, someone who worked for him was asked about one of these violations or one of the reports that was made and was like, "Oh yeah, that guy was mentally ill, lol."
Yes.
Also, he doesn't live here anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So the complaint's not valid because the guy has mental illness and doesn't live there anymore.
At least,
so obviously completely invalid complaint.
Yeah,
which is
LOL,
I
that
don't
guy's
have
mentally
heat
ill.
in my apartment in Davenport, Iowa
Yeah.
in the winter. Like,
Which, even if he doesn't live there anymore, if the heat's still not fixed, that's still like illegal.
Yeah.
Like, he's still reporting you for violating the law. And I think that was out before the DCI investigation was made public, because I'm pretty sure I read that before.
yeah, I think
some
you're
point.
right. Yeah, this is a story that just keeps coming back.
Yeah, did they
But
just
like the
keep
details are
shoveling
too
more?
insane. We have to go
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, and I mean this guy's a fucking villain, and he's gotten away completely scot-free, so we can at least talk about him a lot. Okay, a little bit more about the licensed contractors bit. DCI eventually tracked down people who had worked on the apartment. In Moline, Illinois, they interviewed a Spanish-speaking man through a 14-year-old translator who said Wold's company, Alliance Contracting, paid them in cash. The investigators found no evidence that the workers were licensed. So, and this confirms something that I heard directly from a resident of another of Wold's properties when I went over there shortly after the building came down. This guy told me, like, yeah, this dude cheaps out on everything. Like, he just random people he will hire to do like you know, repairs to anything in his properties. Like, no checking into like their experience even doing this type of work. Just whoever he can pay bottom dollar prices to, he will. That's who gets repair work on Wold properties. There's another bit here about the city inspector who got fired after changing the inspection report from passed to incomplete. Passed the inspection before the building came down, but then the building came down, so it got changed to incomplete. All right? For anyone who's not clear on what we're talking about, the inspection was retroactively incomplete after the building came down. So it was good. I mean, that makes sense to me. The building is standing. Okay, inspection good.
It's all
the building
good.
comes down. Okay, maybe it's not so good. Okay, her supervisor, Oswald, said while he did not believe there was malicious intent in changing the report, altering the report made Pradhan look guilty as shit, and that's in quotes, and that he would have fired her. I agree.
Yeah.
I think you do look guilty as shit when you go back and you alter reports that you've already filed after a big major event happens.
Yeah, I would say so.
It doesn't look good. All right, and then the end of Zach's article is it's really good. Really good detail here. Since running from police, Wold has fled to Florida and changed his name to Andrew Lange, Lange,
I think it's just Lange.
Lange. He reportedly now works in real estate.
Okay.
At this point, he's been selling off millions in property in the Quad Cities area. He's still tied to a civil lawsuit asking for tens of millions in damages. My feeling on the matter is if he's going to get away criminally, he's not going to be criminally charged with anything. Rather than him selling off his property for millions of dollars, it should be probably seized by the government. He shouldn't be allowed to continue profiting off of his deteriorating, neglected buildings that he got from his dad. Some of them he got from his dad. I know that. Yeah, rather than selling them off for millions of dollars, that should just be taken away from him. In a proper society, I feel like that's
And the
never would have
proceeds
happened in the first place. But
redistributed to the victims. Like,
totally, yeah. The report reveals a chain of pointing fingers, each leading to the next. Wold hired contractors. The city issued permits. The city gave orders. Wold said he followed them. Everyone said they did their job, and somehow 3 people died anyway. And that's the end of Zach's piece. It's a pretty good summary there.
yeah. I mean, they're literally like, well, he's trying. He's trying. Like, we told him to do something, and he made a very, very poor effort at it, but, you know, his heart's in the right place.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
3 people
basically
died.
what the county
God
attorney
damn.
said when announcing that they're not going to bring forth criminal charges. That's basically what she said.
Yeah,
is that, he tried. And I think that the fact that he was like at the store trying to buy construction materials at the moment that the building came down, I think that's great evidence that he was trying so hard.
If he would have tried to remove people from the building that they knew was unsafe, that probably would have been a real good move in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean,
But how could he have known? How could he have known?
I think every moment of this that's been documented shows not a pattern of him trying to comply and keep everyone safe and keep his buildings in proper working order, but rather a pattern of doing the bare minimum to cover his ass and to cover up the fact that he's, extracting wealth from human beings who he's having living in these very precarious conditions. And I think his motivation was to keep that relationship going, that extraction, keep that operation afloat. That was the priority, Not a good guy. I don't like this guy either. Andrew Wold, now known as Andrew Lange of Florida. All right, one little follow-up to that I just happened to see yesterday, which is a very funny little, coda to the Davenport building collapse saga. This is from the Quad City Times by Sarah Watson. Headline is, J.J. Condon, money from Davenport collapse video went to tenant. So this is
interesting.
Yeah, J.J. Condon is a former Davenport alderman, and Evan and I were discussing this before we started recording. Davenport has a city council which is populated by aldermen. So I think it's just a fancier word for a city councilor.
Yeah.
I know they have aldermans in Chicago. They use aldermans.
Yeah.
But is there any difference between aldermans and wards and city councilors and districts? It's all the same shit, I think.
Kinda. I mean, I don't know. I know there's different structures for city government and stuff, but I mean, effectively, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. All right. So former Davenport alderman J.J. Condon said about $1,000 paid by news organizations for his surveillance video of the May 28th, 2023 building collapse went to a tenant of 324 Main Street, the building that collapsed. This is very funny. So I guess there was a little bit about him in the DCI report that just came out. And he wants to add some context to his little section of that. I guess DCI interviewed him because he had a video of the building coming down, and he was receiving offers from I think he says NBC, I forget, but yeah, NBC and ABC and CNN apparently all contacted him wanting to pay him for the video. Condon has faced criticism from people who follow city politics for taking money for a video of the collapse, regardless of if the money went to tenants. Condon shared the video with the city, with a few close family members, and his lower-level tenant who runs Allied Barber and Supply. The business owner, whose name is redacted in the report, received an offer from the Washington Post for $10,000 for the 10-second clip.
Damn.
So let's put ourselves in their shoes for a minute. We say we have a camera on our property, and it catches a really good shot of something monumental occurring across the street. We've got a perfect angle on this huge event that happened, and the news is reaching out to us hey, we'll pay you thousands of dollars for this video. I mean, what's the move? What do you do?
I mean, it's not surprising, I don't know. I don't know what I would. I can't really put myself in those shoes, but
no, I would
think
never
most
have a
people,
security camera.
Most people would take the money.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so Condon told the agents he had already shared the video with the Davenport fire marshal and that he believed the city planned to release the video to the public anyway. Condon told agents that if the newspaper was dumb enough to pay $10,000 for a video that would be released in 12 hours, then he gave permission for his tenant to sell the video and keep the money to offset losses from his business being closed by the collapse. Condon told the Quad City Times that in an interview, he thought national news outlets were sensationalizing the tragedy, and that if the outlets were willing to pay for the video, the money could go toward the businesses and tenants impacted by the collapse.
Mm-hmm. Also, you're taking money from Jeff Bezos. It's the Washington Post, right? So
Right.
That $10,000 is like, yeah, you're ripping them off because they're going to get the video anyway.
I think what I take issue with here really is like a lack of transparency. Like the fact that you're only making a statement like this after it comes out that this was happening. Like probably from the beginning, you should have been open with the people of Davenport about, what you were doing. So Condon told agents he believed his tenant ended up selling the 10-second video clip to NBC for $1,000. Now that's a lot less than $10,000, and that's a different news organization. And also, you are telling the agents you believe that's what happened. So where's the paper trail?
Right.
But Condon told the Quad City Times on Monday that while discussing the released DCI report with the barbershop owner, he told Condon he never actually received any money. So this is where it gets like really squirrely. Like, so did you get the money or not? Are you lying about it now so that you don't look as bad? Like, what's the deal? Condon stated, according to the Collapse report, that whatever proceeds he collected from the sale of the video, he planned to donate to the victims of the building collapse. Condon said he asked for $1,000 from ABC and CNN to go toward a tenant that he knew. Now that's so little money.
Yeah.
From ABC and CNN, you got to ask for more than 1,000. If the Washington Post is offering 10,
yeah, you got to start a bidding war.
That's right. Yeah, you got to pit them against each other. But again, he thinks that the video is going to be released publicly in 12 hours anyway, so it's like you kind of have a time crunch there.
Lessons in not looking a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah,
they're coming to you with money. You gotta act.
All right. Before he received any money, this is where he's like, I'm actually a good guy. Before he received any money, Condon said he donated $2,000 to a GoFundMe account set up on behalf of Gene Cyphers, a longtime tenant of the building, who was a retired educator and with whom Condon had talked and corresponded. Condon told the Quad City Times he's certain Cyphers received the money because Condon received a handwritten thank you note from Cyphers. So you have paper evidence of you donating money to somebody, right? The part that makes you look good, there you got evidence of that. The part that makes you look a little shady, I believe this is what happened. I don't know. But he actually did get money from one of the news agencies, it says. It doesn't say which. So in all, Condon received $1,000 from a news agency for the collapse video and gave $2,000 to Cyphers. And then the quote is very funny. I still think it was an okay thing to do. Condon told the Quad City Times. An okay thing to do. I would agree. It's not like maybe...
It was okay.
Yeah, maybe not fully good, but like it's okay. I'm not looking for any sympathy or any credit. I just don't want people to hear my name and instantly think, oh, that's the guy that made $10,000 from M-. That's just so far from the truth. It's like $9,000 away from the truth. More from him, JJ Condon. It's not uncomplicated, but I still think I was personally really hurt by the sensational nature of what a lot of those news people were doing. They were going to do it anyways, and it felt like an opportunity to help some people. My only hesitation is the way that it looks to other people. When I was laying awake last night, wondering what people thought of me, I'm like, well, this is almost like a guy who doesn't volunteer to give CPR anymore because of all the baggage that might come with it.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Is he talking about like cancel culture?
Yeah. It sounds like it's either he's like, I don't want to be like liable if someone dies and I'm trying to give them CPR, which I don't think that makes any sense. Or it's like, I don't want to like touch people because I might like, if they're not going to die, because then they're going to like file a lawsuit against me for touching them. Like, right. CPR, you got to get, you're kissing them on the mouth. So
yeah.
Some people might take that if they're not actively like in cardiac arrest, they might, take offense to that.
Yeah, I'm fairly sympathetic to this guy, like until this part at the end.
Yeah, like what
where he starts getting into like, men can't do anything anymore. Like, okay, so don't give CPR anymore. It's always easier to just not involve yourself. And I don't know if that's a perfect parallel, but it was just me trying to do what I thought was a good thing at the moment. Yeah, so it's like people, like it looks bad for you to be selling a video of an awful event for thousands of dollars, all right? And then like there's nobody knew really that you did that until this report came out. And now after the fact, you're like, well, I donated the money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not be upfront about that before it comes out?
Right. Yeah.
And to relate that to like, well, I mean, like I feel like I'll get in trouble if I intervene anymore. Like men men are under attack these days.
So this is the thanks I get for being a nice guy.
Yeah. And to make it clear that like I actually lost money on this. I donated more than I received. I forgot this part. He ended up only being paid by one of the news agencies, he said, because he hadn't gotten around to filling out the paperwork for the second. That detail is great. Like, oh shit, I forgot to fill out this NBC sales report or whatever the fuck. Oh wow, okay, we filled an hour. You know, I kind of expected that. The Davenport building collapse has been... There's just always so much to talk about with this.
Yeah. Hopefully the next time we talk about it, it's Andrew Lange Wold getting some consequences, losing some lawsuits.
Yeah, at least like having to pay his former tenants a lot of money. You know, I think that's fair. You know, if he's not going to go to prison, and I mean, it's not like that would do any good anyway, but you know, give a lot of money to your former tenants. Maybe stop being involved in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that's not good.
Well, now he's dealing with empty buildings. So if they collapse, then at least no one's going to die.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably.
Sure. Actually, one funny thing. So he's in Florida, right? And in Zach's article, at the beginning of it, he talks about how building collapses like this are super rare. The only thing that we really have to compare it to in the last few years is that building in Florida that collapsed like a couple years before the Davenport collapse. So it's kind of funny that he went to Florida. You know, he fled Iowa after his property fell apart due to his neglect and cheapness and disregard for the human lives that he was responsible for. He fled here and went to Florida, the only other place where that happens. So is he gonna do it again? Is that the plan? Maybe he just loves causing death, you know? That's probably not a nice thing to say on a podcast, but I don't have any sympathy for Andrew Wold. That's a bad guy for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, we should probably wrap things up for today's episode 201.
Hey, we went a whole episode without mentioning you know who. I didn't mention him. Oh, okay. Now you did.
I didn't let her say the full name though, just the first name.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably come back to that next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were kind of intentionally staying away from that for now, but oh yeah, hold on. Let me pull up this thing here because I got a few things to plug. As always, if you have money to spare, you should consider giving money to the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund. They are a vulnerable population in Iowa, especially right now, due to the state's ongoing hatred campaign towards them, removing their civil rights protections and stuff like that. So they're going to need money. IowaTransMutualAidFund.org, yes, is the website if you have money to spare. But other plugs we have. I received a press release from Caucus, the campaign to organize graduate students at the University of Iowa, about something that's coming up this week. Thank you to Anne and Ashley for both informing the podcast about this. The Iowa Board of Regents is having a meeting in Iowa City this week. I believe, June 10th through 12th. Their annual meeting is happening here in Iowa City. And they are proposing restrictions on DEI type stuff in college courses. This is the quote from the policy that they are considering. Yeah, it's not like a policy yet, but this is going to be discussed at their meeting. The new policy, which would go into effect June of 2026, states, a student shall not be required to take a course that has substantial content that conveys DEI or CRT to satisfy the requirements of a major, minor, or certificate unless the board has approved it as an exception. These are extremely broad things. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, critical race theory. Any course has substantial content conveying these principles. Super vague, right? What does that even mean?
As by design, like they want people to be afraid of even broaching anything like
exactly
related to social justice.
Yes. Some bolded things from this press release that should be repeated here. This policy is an attempt to censor public university faculty and undermine the autonomy of academic departments over their curriculum. This proposed policy change will deprive both students and teachers the opportunity to practice critical inquiry. I think that's overall a broader goal of this. Stop teaching students to be critical, to think critically. That's not useful. Teach them how to run a business. All right?
Yeah. We need conservative arts. We need conservative arts degrees.
And this also violates basic principles of intellectual freedom, not to mention the Regent's own policy on freedom of expression. Such an overreach threatens the integrity and excellence of our public universities, so we strongly urge the Board of Regents to vote against this proposed policy. And maybe more important to our listeners who are likely not members of the Board of Regents, we invite the community to join us on June 11th at 4:45 p.m. outside the Levitt Center in Iowa City on the University of Iowa campus to remind the Board of Regents that their policies affect not just students and faculty, but our whole academic and civil community. Again, that's June 11th. COGS is having a rally outside of the Levitt Center at 4:45. COGS also is planning on being present for all of the meetings over the next few days, so they will be making their thoughts known. So if you can make it to support the opposition to this, I think that would be great. A couple other things. Pokies Fest is next weekend. That's like a DIY fest for mostly punk music in Iowa City, so check that out. All the details are on Instagram. I mean, that's, I think, the most accessible way to find it. The Pokies Records Instagram. I'll link it in the full episode description. And then next Tuesday, I'm going to play a show at Trumpet Blossom that I would love for people to come to. Larry Wish from Minneapolis is touring and will be supported by me and Samuel Locke-Ward as the local openers. If you listen to the last I Hear, I See radio episode, Sam Locke-Ward is on that, so he's very fun. Great music, fun to talk to. It'll be a fun show. Call us, 319-849-8733. That's our number. Call us anytime. We will not answer the phone, but you can leave a voicemail. 319-849-8733. We'd love to hear from you. And your voicemail may appear on the podcast Rock Hard Call Us. It's a separate thing, separate series. It's on Patreon, patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. You can listen to it for $1. It's very cheap, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like asking for money, but, you know, it does take us time and some effort to make the podcast. So if you're able to compensate us, we'd appreciate it. Patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. We released a new Rock Hard Call Us last weekend, so you can listen to that now. And we are preparing the next Dobrain Book Club series.
Hell yes.
Have you read any of it aside from the first sentence?
I have not. We also read the last page, which was
right,
almost more interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get to it soon. I recorded a theme song for it, so there's that. That means it's almost going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Speaking of music, we're going to close out with some local music, as we always try to do. This is a song called More by a band called The Value of Human Life, which you can find at thevalueofhumanlife.bandcamp.com. They, I believe, are Cedar Rapids based, although I'm not 100% on that. I don't think I've met them personally. But this album was submitted to us via the website, rockhardcock.us. There's a link near the top where you can send us your music, all right? And this one came to us via that path. So
I like the name too.
the value of human life.
We should all respect the value of human life.
Totally.
But the band, but not the people. Like
Not the
like,
concept of human
not the
life.
concept. No, I'm just kidding.
I value human lives.
Me too.
If you've taken nothing
If
from
I
this
value
podcast,
anything like
Yeah.
above anything else,
Yes.
I'd say human lives number one.
that's really what we've been trying to get across today is we value human life more than a lot of the subjects we were discussing, like Ryan
Yeah.
O'Leary, Andrew Wold. I think that Evan and I have we place a higher value on human lives than those guys do.
I would hope.
Anyway, send us your music if you want to be at the end of an episode like the value of human life is about to be right now. And with that, we sign off. Goodbye.
Happy Pride. Go obstruct an ICE agent.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to everyone in LA who's fighting the stormtroopers. That awful situation. Excellent people doing what needs to be done. So, fuck ICE, fuck the cops, fuck LAPD. It's all bad. Fuck them.
Agreed.